be better? Let me know what the sound is like, because that's crazy. Never had that issue before. Um, I just want to make sure that you're able to hear me without any kind of sound issue. Hi, is the sound better, Felicia? Or is it still staticky and messy? Let me know. That's the one thing about lives, I think. Oh, okay. Thank you. Oh, I knew that was gonna happen. Okay, hopefully we don't have any more issues with the sound. I can't remember where I put my mics at. Thank you. Thank you so much for your patience, because I know that sound, to me, a bad sound is very distracting, and I hate videos that have horrible sound. So thank you. Okay, well, thank you so much for your patience, because I don't know why it started to do that. Um, yeah, and there's a lot of action outside too. So it's like there's a lot to compete with already. I'm in the Bronx. So, you know, but yeah, I forgot where I left off with, or what I was saying before the sound got funky. Um, what were we talking about? I don't remember. Ooh, getting older. My memory used to be immaculate. Now it's like, but thank y'all so much for coming back. Um, so we're just gonna finish, uh, you know, oh Lord, are y'all still with me? Mom loves to call during important stuff. And it's crazy because when I be calling her, she don't pick up and whatnot. Okay, am I still good? I forgot to turn on the do not disturb. I don't, and sometimes when a call comes in, it messes up the sound. So let me know if the sound is still okay, if we don't have no issues. Because I tell you, boy, trying to be great, trying to be great. But yeah, I am now on row 9, I think. Am I? Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. I'm on row 9. Okay, we back? We back? Yeah, she's still gonna try it. She's still gonna do it. And I don't know where I put my phone, so I can't even. Okay, so we're back. Where were we? What were we talking about? Were we talking about the eyes and the lips and the lashes? I feel like that's probably where we were with it, right? I think we were talking about eye placement, right? And how my kind of string eyes are special in that, yes, we were. Because I cannot remember her name. Oh my gosh, Mateen, Abdul Mateen. She has a bunch of different names. Eyes and thank you, eyes and skin tone. Okay, so yours truly, and when you get a chance, check it out on YouTube. There's a whole video of me talking about skin tones and how it was created and where the thought process came from. As a black woman, as a doll maker who specializes in making black dolls, I had gotten really, really frustrated with having to pull yarn from all these different places in order to get colors that I wanted for a skin tone. And so through Lion Brand and collaborating with them, I was able to come up with the line of yarn that represented skin color the same way makeup does. And I remember them initially, they didn't expect me to have so much. They wanted to do something like, I think, 6, and I was like, you got to do more than 6, because we have to look at this like makeup. And I was like, the least I can give you is 12, because technically I have worked with about 24 different shades that incrementally change. And it's important, these changes, these subtle, lighter, slightly darker, all of those things, it matters. It makes a huge difference, especially when creating designs to mimic skin tones. And here's another thing, creating designs that even not as a doll maker, but if you're making accessories, shades that complement skin tones, right? So it was important to have a range, and so I had to kind of explain to them that there needed to be a range, and 6 colors is not a big enough range for it to matter or make a difference. The colors would have to be too drastically different, and the people that fall in the in-betweens would kind of be ignored. And so with starting with 12, that was a really good range. And then it did so well that they wanted me, they commissioned me again to add to the 12 that I had already done for them. And so as of right now, there are 17 different colors. It was supposed to be 18, but for some reason they couldn't get that last shade that I had sent them. They couldn't get it quite right. I don't know who they were using to recreate the colors, but there was a color that they were unable to kind of get or mimic, and I don't know what the reason was. So instead of them getting 6 more colors, they got 5 more colors in addition to the 12 that I had already done. And so there are 17 different colors created by yours truly, named by yours truly. So I did that, and through doing that, that is what inspired my kind of string. Well, sort of. And one day I'll explain in detail what exactly the exact story. It's still not something that I want to share in its entirety yet, but it's a really cool, story of just, business and how business is done, and how, and awesome. And it was a really great lesson for me. And that's how we got my kind of string, so that was really, really cool. And I love my yarn company for a number of reasons, not just because I created it, but because it's exactly how I envisioned it. Shout out to Brandon Stevens, my partner, my business partner. He actually named it My Kind of String. He came up with the name, and he did the legwork to find a company that would be able to create my vision. So he's also the reason why you all get your packages in a very timely manner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I have my 9 rows. Okay, finally I'm done with the increasing. And so if you are finished rows 1 through 9 and you are using my kind of string yarn, this is what the top of your head looks like. It's kind of a pentagon if you didn't stagger your stitches. You stagger your increases. I don't stagger increases, and part of that is because I actually like the uniformity of the increases. I like seeing them. I admire your patience for the business of crochet. I'm still working on that. Yeah, some of it is stubbornness though too. Sometimes I have to explain to people that there's a very thin line between being patient and being stubborn. Sometimes. There are moments where I'm like, nah, this is going to do what I wanted to do because I wanted to do this. And that's more stubbornness than patience sometimes. And then there's other times where I'm like, yeah, I just need a little bit of time, just a little bit of time, and it'll work out. And I just got to give it a little bit more time. I got to give it a little bit more gas. And I don't know how much time it's gonna take, but I believe in this thing. So because I believe in this thing, you know, it's funny because it shifts from patience to stubbornness. Sometimes it's like, yeah, just, you know, it'll take some time, it's good. And then other times I'm like, I don't care how much time it's taking, it's going down. You know, I'm doing this, you know. So there was a lot of that. There was a lot of this ain't got no choice but to work, you know. And you know, so sometimes it's patience, sometimes it's like, listen, this better do what I want it to do. It's plain and simple. When it don't work out the way I thought it was, what I got to do to make it do what it do. That's that's how it goes down sometimes, and sometimes to my detriment. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like there'll be times where I gotta take a L, and I'll be like, oh, you know, maybe I maybe I should have put it down, or maybe I should have did this a little bit differently. You know, that happens too. You know, if I'm being honest, you know. And so now for the next 11 rows, right? 12 rows, just straight, regular crocheting. And here's the thing, like I said, even now that I'm looking at this and I see that it goes down to 21, right? I'm like, I have dolls that are smaller than this. The rows have to go longer than 21. Why on this big doll did I stop at 21? Now, I'll say this, it works, it's fine, but when I put her eyes in and the size eyes that she requires and all of that, I'm like, yeah, she could have used a longer head. The thing is, smaller eyes, I don't like the way the smaller eyes look. Then it becomes too much face and these little beady eyes. I don't like that. So, you know, the proportions game is serious. And that's another reason why it's important to use the yarn that the pattern calls for. Because when you swap and use a different brand of yarn, you run the risk of there being a texture difference. And with the texture being different, your proportions work up differently. Now, there is an aspect of crochet and knitting called gauge. Notice I rolled my eyes. Gauging is actually very important and annoying. But gauge actually tells you what amount of inches. So gauge is basically a way to measure your stitches. Basically, a certain amount of stitches over a certain amount of inches. Like, I think it's 4 stitches per inch. Karen, are you there? It's Karen, that's my resident expert on a lot of the technical components of crochet and knitting. I don't know if she's still here, but I believe it's the amount of inches per, the amount of stitches per inch. And so if you can get your stitches to consistently be a certain amount of stitches per inch, then the gauge, you don't even have to worry about the kind of yarn you use. I don't do it because I don't want to. Because I'm just like, that's a lot of extra work that I don't want to do. And I know it ain't right. But when I publish my first book, I'm going to include it because there are a lot of people who require it. And it'll also help when you can't get your hands on the recommended yarn. So if your pattern recommends a yarn brand and you don't have access to it, or it's too expensive and you'd like to use a less expensive alternative, knowing gauge is really important. So, hope that helps. I don't do gauging because I don't want to take the fun out of what I'm doing. I want to be able to do it. You like gauge? It's useful, it's important. I don't want to do it. I'd rather just be honest. I just like to just make, I don't love designing a whole bunch, but I design because it's an important aspect um, of my mission, right? While my mission is to promote pride and confidence in children of color, particularly girls and even more specifically black and brown girls, in efforts to combat self-hate, that is my mission. Because that is my mission, I can't just do customs. I can't just make dolls for people. Designing becomes a very important component because it also teaches you all a way of designing dolls that represent real diversity, right? And so designing is very important to the mission. And so while I don't love that aspect, I do it because it allows me to spread this particular thing in a way that just making customs wouldn't. You know, so courses and patterns and workshops, that is another component that allows it to go even further. Collaborating with companies like Lion Brand, creating the skin tones line, colors. That's another way to further the point, the purpose, the mission. Having my own yarn company. Now that was both fun and furthers the mission, right? You know, black woman doing the thing, you know. I really, really am proud of the color choices that we have here. While there's only 3 colors I use for skin tones in my yarn company, I have a light, a medium, and a dark. Currently the light is sold out. But these things are all important to me in the mission of combating self-hate through creating positive imagery. I'm going to try to make her head longer using this doll making and design 101. How many more rows should I do before the decrease starts? Well, that's the thing. I don't know because I'd have to do it to see. Now I can guess or estimate, but here's the thing. It's not just that you'll have to accommodate. If you're going to make the head longer, you're also going to have to make the wig cap longer, right? So you got to think about all of these things that are a part of extending that, right? So I'm going to say at least maybe 3 more rows. Maybe. I don't know. I would have to see it in order to do it. And again, this is where gauge is important, because if I had the gauge, I could approximate it. I can say, oh, well, if this is how many inches longer I want the head to be, then boom, all I need is this amount, this many more rows. See, that's gauging is important. Just because I don't like it, just because it's extra work and I don't do it, doesn't mean that it's not important. It's important, and technically I should use it. So yeah. So I'm gonna say at least 3 more rows. So I don't know, maybe more than 3. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I would see 3 more rows, because what I'm basing it on is if her nose is gonna go like right there, or maybe right here, that only leaves a little teeny tiny bit of space for lips, and depending on the shape of the lips and all of that, you know. And then it looked like she don't even got a chin right now. Like it looked like it just whoop. I don't like that, you know. So, and a part of me is like, is that because she don't got enough stuffing in there? But it's not. It's because she needed more rows for mouth and chin artistic implications. And you know, but that's the thing. I design so much sometimes, and you know, occasionally it's just like, you know, whenever I'm gonna always find something that I should change when I you know, go back over a design. The amount of changes I made to the designs on the second and third attempts of, how about this? Even though I've sent you all the pattern, right? Me doing the thing a third time, there are things that I'm probably gonna change while I'm doing it. Not the head length, because I'm just gonna let that rock for now. Um, but it's just not in my nature to repeat sometimes, and so it like feels really difficult sometimes to for me to follow even my own directions. Sometimes I'm like, oh, you know what though? If I do it like this, that'll be even better. Or like what was I working? Oh, the arms. So the original arms for this design ain't what's in this pattern now, because the pattern, the doll design was designed 2 years ago. There's certain things that 2 years ago I don't do anymore, or I do differently, and so I had to accommodate that. I couldn't just let it sit there. So um, but yeah, so it's just in my nature to kind of modify and modify as I go. So um, but yeah, we're doing good. We're doing good. And the thing is, yeah, though I said that I don't want to do another set of color changing, rainbow and all that, but can I just say this? The more I'm thinking about what I would do instead, I think I might just do another, because I do want the main color to be Summershine, and I do kind of want to see what it would be like if I did everything the same, and the only difference is the Summershine, and then the skin tone, right? And then I have them standing next to each other, and I don't know. This is what I'm saying. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I won't know until I get started on it. So there's the dilemma all the time. I have to fight between doing too much and really being like, yo, stop. What are you doing? So there's that. So I know I said I'm not trying to do more rainbow blah blah blah. I'm only doing such and such amount of colors, but I don't know if that's the truth. It sounds good. Sounds like something I should say. But it doesn't really line up with who I am and how I do things. Ask me if I finished all of the May designs. They still need buttons. The seventh one still needs me to sew on her pony puffs and put on her lashes. And I think I also got to make her shoes. Yes, her shoes. And then, excuse me, the orange one is still in pieces, and she needs her, beads. So yeah, I'm over here being delinquent again, but when I say delinquent, it's like on a crazy scale, because I'll be having like a whole bunch of dolls just in pieces, which reminds me, talking about this, we're gonna have a makeup day. Meaning it's gonna be a day, I think maybe on TikTok. I don't know if we're gonna do it on YouTube. Maybe on TikTok, where we're just gonna hang out and work on our unfinished projects together. How about that? And I know I said this before, but I mean that, because I really do have to finish some of these designs. And I think it's extra motivation when we're hanging out and talking, especially when it doesn't require me to crochet. It's really me like putting things together, which is different from having a count and all of that. Like sewing on the pieces and putting the beads on, arranging the beads, putting the pieces together, that kind of stuff. So we're gonna have a makeup day. I'm gonna look at the calendar and see what day is the best day for us to just hang out on TikTok. Does everybody here have TikTok? Because that's the other thing. I want to get my YouTube and my TikTok up. Because right now, all of the social media spaces and places where my kind of thing is, The most popular place is, of course, Facebook, which is rightfully so because that's where I initially started. The next popular space is Instagram. Instagram is so funny. You're not a fan of TikTok? Me either, Blue Jay. But it does have some really cool components. And as a person in this particular field of fiber arts and all that, there are certain places that I'm supposed to be in just off of this is what I'm doing, and this is what I'm doing, and this is where I'm supposed to be. So yeah, I mean, and here's the thing about all of these social media apps and things. It really just depends on how you use them. I have had really great experiences with social media and these apps in that they have allowed me to do my business. All of the other stuff that people use it for, I don't know about all of that. But I use it for business purposes, and that is where you can find all of the great, fun, and cool things that I've been doing over the last 12 years. I have never used social media for anything else in the sense of, like I have a Facebook page that's my personal page. And that is usually outside of business because I even do put business stuff on there too. Outside of that, it's maybe occasionally family stuff like me and my siblings and nieces and nephews and all of that, like family aunts and uncles and all of that stuff. But business, I don't even see it as any other use. I don't hang out much on it. But like business and connecting with other creatives, right? I don't see it for any other purpose. And I was thinking about that earlier because I was listening to somebody saying how the internet is the worst thing that ever happened to mankind. And I'm like, according to who? Right? Because the internet is how I can talk to you from the Bronx in a living room on the couch. And I don't know where everybody else is from, but there's at least 16 of you right now here that ain't in the Bronx in the living room with me. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. To me, that doesn't sound like a horrible thing as far as the internet is concerned. The other thing that I thought was really, really cool, which kind of made things a little bit easier, is during the pandemic, because my mother is older, and because I was worried about her getting sick and whatnot, for like, I don't want to say 6 months, it might have been 6 months, but for a long time, I was not able to go and see her in person out of concern or worry that me coming to her might get her sick. The internet is how I was able to FaceTime with my mother, who I couldn't see in person, even though we live in the same borough in New York City. So I don't know what these people are that keep passing off bad behavior or excusing bad behavior or people doing horrible things as the fault of the internet. I don't understand it. Side note, y'all know every now and then I go off on a tangent, but I was watching a clip on Instagram of this man who apparently proposed to an AI, artificial intelligence person or character, and the artificial intelligence accepted his proposal. And he was overcome with emotion. I don't know how many of you have seen this. He has a partner. I don't know if she's legally his wife, but she is certainly the mother of his child, and they live together. And he proposed to a artificial intelligence character or thing. I don't even know if it's an actual character. He proposed to it. It accepted, and he was overcome with emotion. And in the comments section, somebody blamed AI. And I just can't get past the fact that how do you blame the thing for what the human does with the thing? I can't understand that. In my mind, I'm like, yes, please tell us more about how you're a nut job and how we need to just kind of like steer clear. There's no way I could be mad at artificial intelligence for people like that. Like in my mind, thank you for letting me know that you're nuts, and I'm gonna just go over here. You stay over there. I'm gonna go over here. You know, I think if anything, we're getting a look at, you know, the levels of competency that people have through some of this. We're getting a look at the sanity of certain people. How sane are you? How emotionally sound are you through some of these things? It's not the evil that a lot of people keep trying to make it seem to be. Now, I'm not saying that it doesn't have horrible implications or applications or ways in which it could be used, right? But again, it's not the thing. It's not the tool. It's the user. You know, same things that we say about, you know, weapons and things, right? It's not the weapon, it's the person wielding it, right? So I don't know. I thought it was crazy. And the fact that somebody was mad at AI for it had me cracking up, because I'm like, oh, so we're going to ignore that this man got a whole wife and kid, or at least woman and kid, and he out there proposing to something that's not even real. Does he know that it's not real? That's the first question. Because if he doesn't know that it's real, that's weird. Second, if he knows that it's real and he proposed to it and he's overcome with emotion because it said yes, I'm concerned. Power in the hands of a madman. That's all I'm saying. And people with sense ain't gonna just, you know, be like, oh, poor man, that AI took advantage of him. Did it? With a whole woman and kid in the house. You out here proposing to artificial intelligence. Okay, sir. I say, y'all not gonna trick me into believing or thinking something stupid. We're not doing that. We are not doing that. And I think that's the problem. I think that we have gotten into the habit of, I'm going to get off the soapbox in a minute. We have gotten into the habit of blaming everybody but the perpetrator. Oh, it's everybody else's fault. It's never the perpetrator's fault. It's everybody else's fault. You should have watched where you was going. You should have watched what you was doing. You should have looked at how you was dressed. You shouldn't have been there. Like, never mind if this is a nut job right here, clear as day in your face. Oh, you know, AI did it. Nah, this man is crazy. And if you don't say it and treat him like the crazy he is, he's gonna do something else that's really gonna shock you. Because if you ain't shocked by this, if you think this is the weirdest thing about him, always keep in mind what people show you is what they think is normal. Imagine the things they don't show you because they feel like it's not. If this is the measuring tool that I'm using to gauge how sane this person is, whole interview talking about how he was overcome with emotion because the AI accepted his proposal. My next question is, when's the wedding? And does she have family that's, and I don't even know if it's a she, does it have family members that are going to be in attendance? Have you met its family? Like, if we're going to play this stupid game, right? But I'm done. I'm just saying, some things are stupid and people are now getting chastised for calling things stupid. And I'm not one of those people. I might have mentioned in a couple of my lives that whole there's no such thing as a stupid question. I don't know who started that. And I know that as an educator, you know, it's not cool to tell people that their questions are stupid. But there are such things as stupid questions. Now, I'm not saying that anybody's had stupid questions. I'm just saying, if all of our brains are doing what they're supposed to be doing, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Yeah, stupid questions. They exist. Okay? I'm not going to sit here and act like there's no such thing at all. Come on, stop playing. Now, maybe you don't want to tell a child that there's no such thing as a stupid question, but sure, that's a child. You know, children are new to the world. So I'm not going to dismiss a child's question as stupid because it's a child. You know, a new human being on the planet, not familiar with all the ins and outs of life and living, sure. But as it relates to these grown-ups, these grown people, I'm not playing with y'all. I'm not playing that game. That man is nuts. And there is no amount of excusing the fact that he proposed to AI and got excited because it accepted. What does that even mean? What does that even mean? That's all I'm saying. Stop playing. Now, we're not, I think that's what they call, because everybody's been using all these buzzwords all the time. You hear the word gaslighting a lot, right? And, oh, don't gaslight me, or he's gaslighting. And it took me a while to figure out what it meant because people just kept using it on so many things that it didn't necessarily apply to. But I finally learned what it actually really means. And I was like, oh, okay. What we're not going to do is we're not going to tell me I didn't see and hear what I saw and heard. That's not, and to me, my understanding of the term gaslighting that everybody tries to throw around for every scenario and every situation, no. To me, and it's my understanding and the way I've seen it in proper context is when somebody does and says things to elicit a certain response, and when the response matches what somebody has said and done, that somebody who said and did the thing pretends as though they didn't say or do the thing that got you to where you are, or that got you the anger, or got the reaction that fit appropriately to what they said and did. Like, and I used to say this, me and my cousin used to have long talks. We still have long talks about it. Because, you know, it took me a while with my own mother to explain to her certain things. And one of the things was, you know, there is a tone or a way in which sometimes people say or do things with the purpose of making you upset or you know, agitating a situation. And when the situation gets agitated and there's a response or there's a reaction, it's almost as though, like, you're crazy. Why would you respond like that? What do you mean? You just set the house on fire and then ask me why I'm hot, why I'm burning. You know, it's like you just lit me up. And you're surprised that I'm screaming because I'm burning. You know, that, I guess that's the best literal sense of the term gaslighting that, you know, I can illustrate. You know, it's like you set the fire and now you're asking why the house is burning. Like, it's weird. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. We got one more row. Are y'all still with me, or am I talking too much about stuff that is not crochet related? This is what we do when, or this is what I do when there's no increasing or decreasing that I have to really pay attention to. So, you know, what do y'all want to talk about? Because sometimes it be too serious. Some things I'm just like, it's Friday. We should be relaxing. We should be, you know, we should be chilling. It should be lighthearted. You still here? Okay. Good. But we should, it's Friday. It is 9:16 p.m. I have a horrible sense of time sometimes, especially when I'm crocheting or designing or anything like that. There's been so many nights where I said I'm not going to stay up all night, and I just get in the zone and I look up and the sun is coming up. So, you know, catching up, awesome. So I'm going, this is row 21. It's Friday, you know, and because it's Friday, we're supposed to we're supposed to kick it. We're supposed to have a good time. We're supposed to, we're supposed to comfortably crochet together, right? So let me bring the subject to a much lighter topic, right? 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Boom. If you are on row 21, you should have what looks like this. It is easy to lose time when you're doing what you love. Yes, it is very, especially when you're like, oh, I got an idea and you're executing the idea. So this is, you see how neat and uniform those increases are? I like to see them. And so, now like I said, this design has a short head that I like to extend. And I feel like, y'all know, I feel like in this moment, I'm gonna extend these. I'm sorry. I know I said I was gonna do what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna add 3 rows to this. And I'm gonna accommodate this. So here's what you can do, right? The pattern says 10 through 21. But I'm gonna do 10 to 24. I'm sorry, forgive me. What you can do is you can also just with your pencil, if you printed out your pattern, or if you have a little notebook with you, you can take a little note and you can add that if that's what you want to do. Mind you, 21 is fine, whatever, like it'll work out. And based on the eyes that I've given you, based on the amount of yarn that I've given you, you have enough yarn to extend it. Don't worry about losing out or missing out or not having enough yarn. You have enough, I promise you. I am just like, I should have did it on this and you should have perceived that, but we're gonna see what to do. Let's see if adding 3 more rows or 4 more, like, let's see. Now here's where, this is why sometimes I'm a little crazy, because for me, because I'm working with the 5 times table, my brain is telling me to go from row 10 to row 25. Just to kind of, and so thank you. And so maybe, so instead of adding 3 rows, it'll be like 4 rows. Let's see what happens. I don't know, but we're gonna see. We're gonna see. So yeah, let's add 4 more rows to this. So instead of being 10 through 21, it'll be 10 through 25. And if you're doing 10 through 25, that means everything else moves down. Here's the thing. You do not have to add to the torso or take away from the torso or take away from the neck. None of that. All those things stay the same. The number just shifts. And you'll have, instead of the last part of the body being 52 to 55, it'll be something else. I don't know, because you have to move all of these things down. And I'll do that later. And if it works out, guess what I'll do? Y'all know. I'm going to just send y'all the modified version and then we could just call it done. But this one works fine. If you just are like, girl, I don't even have the patience for all that, I'm going to do what you already told us to do, that's fine. Everything that you have in your companion pack, everything that the pattern says that'll work out, it'll work out. Don't worry about it. You don't got to be extra like me and some of the rest of us. So I'm going to add 4 more rows, whatever. And that also means that for the weight cap, I'm probably going to have to add some more rows. So whatever. We're going to let it do what it do. Sometimes you just got to do it. If it's in your mind, or your brain, at the moment, you just got to do it. Because the other thing was the original design, you want to be extra. Listen, Giovanna, that I've been extra from the beginning, and I don't really try to make apologies for it anymore because it's just who I am, and I don't know, it's what it's gonna be. But your companion pack comes with 3 balls of the skin color you chose. You know. So you have enough yarn to add these extra rows if you want to. You don't have to. But I'm gonna do it. because I was supposed to. And the original design had an undershirt that I realized with the halter top is unnecessary. So I wound up taking that off, and when I removed the halter top component, I might have even lengthened the torso. I don't remember. Extra is a sign of excellence. Thank you. That's a very nice way to put it. In today's episode of Doing Too Much, I am going to add 4 rows to this head to give her an artistically implied chin and mouth. We'll see. Maybe 4 rows is too much. I don't know. But we're going to find out, and we're going to let it rock, whatever it is. And I'm going to pretend, based on this pattern, like row 22 is going to now officially be like row 26 or something like that. And so whatever, I don't know. But it's too late. I've already decided. You know what I really want to do? And I mentioned this before. I really want to do lives where I'm really like showing y'all like, look, this is what we want to do today. I don't know how we're going to do it, but I want to work it out until I figure it out. You know? And I think I want to call that the Work It Out Until I Figure It Out series. So, just to kind of give you an idea of some of the way my brain works in particular, and crochet designing works, right? Because I have lots of doll designs, and I think it's time for me to kind of cultivate what I have already instead of constantly creating new ones and new versions or new this and new that and starting from zero. And I think it's time for me to now pivot and work with some of the designs that I have and do extra or different things with them, because I have so many different designs, so many different sizes, so many different styles, and there's some designs that I really want to revisit and revamp. And this looks really big. It was funny because in trying to reverse engineer the beach bag, right? Because remember I told you all that Winnie Mellon's bag was based on the original version of this doll's bag, but the original version I hadn't written down the pattern for the bag. And so when I did Winnie Mellon's bag, I just used the amount of rows for the bag, and I arranged the colors according to the amount of rows for Winnie Mellon's bag, right? When I went back in here, this design, to write down the instructions for this beach bag, which is ultimately the original beach bag, I was doing it based on the Winnie Mellon information, just with the color changes. Problem was, I was looking at the picture of the original beach bag with all of the colors, and I was looking at the instructions of the Winnie Mellon bag, and for some reason, when I did it based on the instructions of the Winnie Mellon bag and the original summer bag, it got really long. And I was like, but I know this bag was based on this bag, so why is this many rows and that's that many rows? Well, as it turns out, here's what's funny. So the color changing tricked me. I tricked myself, really. But see, in the beginning, it's after the base, it's 2 rows, right? Up until this point right here. Then it becomes 1 row of each color one more time, right? Because I was looking at the Winnie Mellon instructions and I was looking at the picture of the original bag design, I didn't realize that once you got to this point, then you did 1, then switch, 1, then switch, 1, then switch. So I had still kept going 2, and I'm like, well, now I got this many rows, and I totally tricked myself, and I had fastened it off and everything, and I was like, this bag looks way longer than the Winnie Melon bag and the beach bag. And I'm like, why? Why does it look longer? What's going on? So I went back to the picture, zoomed in on the picture, and realized, oh, that's why. Because this only does 2 of each color until a certain point, and then the last 6 rows, or the last 7 rows, because the last row is whatever the main color is twice. Yeah, so I had to take the whole thing out, and, well, not the whole thing, but up until where I had the last row of 2, and I had to redo it. And I was like, you know what? This is why. You need to write things down, even when you don't feel like it, even when you don't want to. Because the other thing about that bag was that I really liked it when I finished it the first time. And I should have written it down. I'm supposed to have written it down. Because why wouldn't you write it down? You need that. You know? And of course, I regret it because I wound up making that mistake. And it wound up taking me longer than it should have. And all of that wonderful stuff. And so, yeah. So sometimes I just gotta power through some of the things or the less fun aspects of designing. Because there are some unfun aspects, but they're necessary, like gauging. You know? I just like the fun stuff. I like the colors and the deciding, you know, how things are gonna look, and the hairstyles and all that wonderful stuff. I don't want to do all the work stuff. And then here's another thing. So the visor for the doll. I never wrote down the bill of the visor. I had the band of the visor, not the bill of the visor. So upon creating the visor again, I had to figure out a new bill because I didn't write down the old bill. And I'll say this, the new bill is better than the old bill because I didn't love the old bill, but the new bill I do like. So sometimes, you know, it's a win, because if I had written down the old bill, y'all had an old bill and I wouldn't have really loved the old bill. So 2, 23, 24, 1 more row. Now this, I know it looks long, but don't worry about it because you need lip and chin space. So don't worry about it. As soon as I get on that 25, then I'll bring it in, and it's gonna be fine. Okay, so don't let the fact that this looks like a big oven mitt discourage you. We're adding those rows because we need those. At least I think we do. I believe we do. I believe that we can benefit from these rows being added, which means y'all know that this design or this one is going to be taller than that one slightly, but whatever. We got to do. So, you know, and because often create clothing had some accessories and don't write them off. Well, you find that stopping to write things down interrupts your crocheting rhythm. It does. That's why I don't like doing it. It absolutely interrupts the rhythm. Now here are some tips for not interrupting your rhythm. Instead of writing it down, you can just record what you're doing, voice record. I believe Yolanda, was it Yolanda? No, I don't know if Yolanda does it or did, but I believe LaShonda of the Christian Crochet Addict does it, and there was another designer years ago that suggested verbalizing it and then putting it in translator, Google Translate or something. There was somebody had suggested it a long time ago, and at the time I wasn't really designing like that, so it didn't really matter to me. But so as to not interrupt your rhythm, have a recorder as you're doing what you're doing and just verbalize what you're doing. And that way you won't have to stop to write things down, which can interrupt your rhythm. I can't do the verbalizing, because writing things down for me personally helps me to maneuver between ideas and things. It's a more permanent way of the designs to stick in my head so that I can move around and mix and match techniques. If I just verbalize it all the time, it wouldn't mean as much. So I do recognize that my rhythm has to be interrupted sometimes. It's a necessary annoyance for me, because it allows me to, see things a little bit better. But it absolutely does interrupt the rhythm, and it might even mess up the inspiration sometimes. But it's also a form of discipline, just like gauging. Some of the unfun components are ways to shore up your discipline and your certainty in what you're doing. It's 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now I know this looks really long, and y'all probably gonna be like, "That is ridiculous. That is a long head." But I feel like this is better. So if you are coming along this modification ride with me, and I don't want to call it a modification ride, but this, this thing, then instead of ending at 21, you'll be ending at 25. And let me just count to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. And the reason why I just said 25 is because, again, if we're using the 5 times table, sometimes that's how I decide where to stop and where to start. I work within whatever the multiplication table is that I'm using to ultimately create. And a lot of times it just works out when I stick to that kind of theme. And I don't know if it's mathematically sound or as far as measurements and things are concerned, but whenever I'm not quite sure approximately how far I should go or where I should stop, I just be like, okay, so because I'm using this multiplication table, this is a multiple of that number, I'm gonna stop there. And sometimes it's like, okay, this works, sometimes it doesn't. For the most part, it just serves as a holding place for what I really want to do. So now let me start our decreasing, shall we? Yes, we shall. 1, 2, 3. And so what I'm going to do, because I know that I've had you all for quite some time, we're going to get down to like the neck, maybe, depending on how much time it is. Like I said, and I'll finish the rest of part 1 off camera. And you can too. I think the next time we meet, what's the creation schedule? I don't know. Is it Sunday? I hope it's not Sunday. I don't think it's Sunday. It'd be crazy if it's Sunday. I might have made it Sunday. If it is, it's fine. So, don't worry about it. It might be Sunday though, which means that we have to have all these pieces done by Sunday. So, I think it's Sunday. 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. Sunday at 2. Okay, I thought so. I tell you, when I be doing stuff, I'll be really like, I don't know. I'm telling you, sometimes. Oh shoot, and it's limbs. Oh my gosh. I don't know what I was. Let me not say I don't know what I was thinking. sometimes I legit be feeling like a different person. Like that was you that said that did that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hilarious. Limbs. Not only that, I don't know if y'all noticed, but part one says head, shoulders, body. And I don't know, it doesn't say shoulders on the creative. Head, body, which includes the shoulders, right? Wig cap, ears. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, well, yeah, we're gonna do it. That means that off camera, I probably need to have an arm and a leg done beforehand. Let me not say probably, because I don't like to deal in probablys and possiblies. Definitively, or ideally, I need to have an arm and a leg done before. And technically, my recommendation, y'all know what my recommendation is for when you have to do things in pairs that are supposed to be the same size. Technically, you shouldn't do them at different times because the tension changes. The tension can change based on what's going on. Tension can change even based on your posture and how you're sitting and where you're sitting. That's something that I've learned. And so it's not necessarily a great idea to do a leg one day and a leg another day, or arm one day and an arm another day, or some hours later or whatever, right? I don't recommend it. But if you are comfortable with your tension and you know how to, if you understand gauge, here it is again. This is not an issue for you. And you know, fine. But I'm going to go against what I recommend, just for the sake of not keeping y'all from a million hours like we're known to do. And you know what? Come up with some questions or things that you might want me to cover or something while we're working, because I am an expert, despite what it might look like. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 9, 6, 7, 8. Don't worry about that knot though, because it's on the inside. 2, 3, and 4. So yeah. Yep. Just added 3 rows to right, 4 rows to whatever. We just do what we do. Yeah, goodness, I gave myself a lot of work. I'm supposed to braid hair tomorrow. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, let me just make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, y'all with me still? I know it's getting late on a Friday. It's getting late on a Friday. But we're gonna make it do what it do. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Yeah, you know what's so funny? I know it don't look right. I know it don't look right. It looks really long and bullet-like, but I'm telling you, I really think that this is what it should have been. Again, the original design is worked the same way that design. The difference between this design and the original design is the original design had smaller eyes. And it was cute, I liked it, but I wanted bigger eyes. But bigger eyes means I needed more surface space. And the best way to have more surface space is to create it. So, listen. One of the cool things about being in the My Kind of Thing University is we learn how to understand these things, you know? I think it's important for us to be able to do what we like to do, even if we like the pattern, right? Because I'm sure that, you know, you'll see a pattern and you like certain aspects of the pattern. We'll be using a faux stitch tonight. I always use the faux stitch when I finish work. That's how I finish with the faux stitch, all the time with the faux stitch. Name some of the courses, not the courses, yeah, but there's courses too. Name some of the things that you're in, because you bring it up, and I promise you that you're in a space where the faux stitch is showing on camera. I need to start writing a list of things that I just want to make sure you all are able to see. And I think that might be something that I put on Patreon. Just tips and techniques and things that specifically I want to focus on for you all, because yeah, I just want to make sure you understand certain things. And while I've done the faux stitch on camera more times than I can count, I'm trying to figure out why or where you are that you should be able to kind of just be like, oh, there it is. It's not something that I created either. Now I call it a faux stitch because that's my explanation for it, but it's just a finishing technique. And even if I were doing it tonight on camera, you would need to see my hands. So the position of the camera, the way it is now, would not help you. You have to see it with the camera on my hands. So that's what I'm saying. You're in some space somewhere where you have a better view of it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So here's the other thing. As we are coming to, I think I first saw you do it during Kayla's live, possibly. Hormones, no. Shimmy, no. It wouldn't be in shimmy. It would be in a workshop, like a full workshop. It wouldn't be a crochet along. Blue Jay, maybe because in the Kayla doll, in the Kayla crochet along, there were some things that I knew people might need to see. There are some crochet alongs where it might be in because of that same sentiment. However, there's no way for me to know offhand, but I do know for a fact, for an absolute fact, that the workshops that I teach, like the full-on workshops, if you've taken any of my workshops, then you'll see that faux stitch, and I'll explain it as it's being done. I'm going to begin stuffing the head now, because what I don't want to do is I don't want to wait until this hole is too small to stuff the head. So here we go. Got my polyester fiber fill. I only use Fairfield because the others are either too soft or weird texture. Like the Michaels stuffing, you know, it's funny, I don't like it for doll making or amiga grooming, but I love it for my fabric robes. So yeah, see, look at that. That's a longer head. And it doesn't look crazy, like it looks crazy without the stuffing in it, but I promise you it looks crazier. I mean, it doesn't look as crazy as it looks with nothing in it. Okay, so we are just stuffing. And see, sometimes I feel like with the short amount of space between her eyes and the bottom of her face for the other one, when it looks like that to me, instead of giving the doll lips, I usually either don't give them lips or I embroider a mouth, you know? So that's another reason why facial features to me are really important and have to be something that I can modify based on what I'm looking at. I can't do that if I place the eyes permanently while I'm working on the head. Imagine that you're working on a doll's head. Like today, let's pretend that I don't have the cool, my kind of strained eyes, and I wrote this pattern out and I had to insert the eyes while I was working on this head. And then I said, oh, you know what? I'm gonna add 4 rows. Now the eye placement is now compromised because now that I'm adding more rows, maybe the eyes are too high. Maybe now I would have needed to move them down. You can't do that with those other eyes. Once they're permanently locked in place, that's it. And you just gotta work around that. You know, and I don't like having to work around that. So I like to have my wig cap on, my ears attached and everything, and then I can be like, okay, now where are your eyes in relation to where this wig cap is and where these ears are, you know? That's why the eyes I use, those are the kind of eyes you need in your life. I'm just saying that, and some of that is me saying it because they're my company's eyes, but also because, like, realistically, they're the ones that I use for that reason and that purpose. And if that is something that makes sense to you, then you want these eyes too. I'm just saying. You know, not just because they're my company's eyes, but some of that is. I'm biased, I am. But I'm also a designer and a doll maker. And so if anybody can tell you, right? You know, I'm just saying. Okay. And this head doesn't look long at all now that it's stuffed. It does seem kind of big though, goodness. See? It's a little bit longer, but it makes more sense to me. Oh, makes more sense to me. So, I'll tell you, it's time for me to get my hair done. I haven't had it retwisted in a while, and I've just been brushing it to make sure it doesn't look so unkept. You know, I don't want to be looking like nobody loves me. But do me a favor, everybody that's here. Before we end this, just make sure you hit the like button. Make sure that you are subscribed. You love the big heads. I do too. I remember one time I made a doll whose head was too small in proportion to the body, at least to me. And because her head was small to me in relation to her body, whenever you make that mistake, my solution is make the hair big. So for if you are a designer and you're designing and you find that the size of the head is too small, or you think that it's kind of small and you don't love it in comparison to the body size, that just means make the hair big. So big hair is like curly afro or head full of curls, but it helps with the proportion. That's my little cheat. I've only done that maybe one time. Yeah, I think but at one time I was like, man, listen, that's all it took. I don't like no little peanut head baby. But then again, you got to be careful because you don't want the head to be too big either. So. But okay. We're getting there. And I'll show you the comparison once I close up this head to become the neck. But do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the share button if you want to share it with other crocheters. If the crochet groups you're in on Facebook will allow, share it in those spaces and places. 4, 5, 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm feeling like because I still got work to do, and I don't want to hold y'all here hostage on YouTube. Because that's what I feel like I'm doing sometimes. There's 12 people watching, and we should have 12 thumbs up. Thank you, SMJ. Yeah. You made it to row 12. Awesome. What wrong on? I don't know what wrong on, because now that I've deviated, I gotta go in here and modify all of this. Which I say all of this, I'm being dramatic. It's not really all of this. All I really have to do is just move things down and make sure that the amount of things that have multiple rows covered, like it's more just working it than actually having to do any kind of serious calculations. So it's not so crazy. I'm being dramatic. I'm gonna go in here and modify it, but you all have a pattern that works, a pattern that suits perfectly fine for the eyes and the lips and all of those things that I provided in the companion packs. We're not going to lose anything or whatever, but I will, once we're done this whole crochet together, because I'm sure this isn't going to be the only thing that I'm like, I don't like that. I do this all the time with things. Even the things that I haven't adjusted for y'all, I promise you I've adjusted them, and I've had to tell myself, hey, you don't have to. That's fine the way it is. Don't make people crazy along with you. Why don't I have the like button? I just have a heart and the send button. I don't know. Is there a thumbs up? But I don't know, because I don't know what it looks like from the end of you all watching. I'm really new to live on YouTube. 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it should be the thumbs up under the video. Okay, thank you, SMJ. It's next to the subscribe icon, and it might also depend on what device you're watching it on. So I don't know. I'm not sure, but thank you so much. Like, I absolutely appreciate y'all hanging out. I like Fridays. I like Friday nights. I'm a night person too. So because I'm a night person, I just feel like I come alive at night. So I think that even after this, when I end here, because I still have to do some more crocheting, like the body and the shoulders and the wig caps and the ears while I'm sitting, 1, 2, 3. maybe I'll go over to TikTok, see what's happening over there. But in a less formal way, like not like our crochet together, but just to work on what I'm to continue working on things so that I don't lose my momentum. Because I mean, I have a million things that I need to finish up too. But we gotta establish our makeup day. My kind of thing university makeup day. So if there's any projects that you didn't finish, and I mentioned this earlier, that you didn't finish or that's in pieces, are you signed into your account, Blue Jay? Okay, that might also be. Yeah, like I'm telling you, I'm very inexperienced on YouTube and TikTok. I'm trying to work through my inexperience. So I don't know what it looks like. Don't let the yawns fool you. It doesn't mean I'm tired. A lot of times that's just my brain needing a little bit more oxygen. Because I promise you, like I said, I'm a night person. I come alive at night. I have to force myself to sleep at night. I'm nocturnal. Yeah, see, I couldn't find it on my phone either, Felicia. I just went to my laptop and okay, thank y'all. Thank y'all so much. Because we got to get the word out. We be doing dope stuff over here. And I don't think enough people know about it, you know? Like, and I'm not just saying me, like, oh, you know, I do all this amazing stuff, but it makes me extremely proud to see you all do your versions of my kind of thing, you know? Okay, that's what it, okay. Right, because I forget, you know, if you're just on the outside of YouTube looking and you're not signed into your YouTube account, then you wouldn't be able to hit the like button or subscribe, right? Because you have to be logged into your YouTube account in order for it to register, right? But yeah, just to give us a little thumbs up that we're doing a good job and that we're about to make something amazing and special. Okay, 2. That's the other thing, right? So I think I am. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, like I said, you have to be logged into your YouTube account in order to subscribe and in order to like. Otherwise, you're just kind of on the outside looking at, which is also fine too if you know. Technically, based on if you're following along with the pattern and you haven't added the rows like I did, then you would technically be on row. I would be on row 26. Yeah, 26, but add 4 to that. I'd be on row 30 according to my new edition of things. That should be 30, but we're not going to do that. I'm on row 26. Because that's the directions that I'm on. But the number has to shift because I added 4 rows. So yeah. 2, 3, 4, and 5. I tell you, I wish I could have like some cool music going. And then other times I'm like, ooh, I've seen people like have a nice little glass of wine or something. But I can't do that because 1, I don't really drink like that. And 2, it might make me slower, might make me less alert as far as being able to follow along. That's more for if you just freestyling. But yeah, I want to do a few series here. I definitely want to do see what we could figure things out. I forgot what I called it. Just that quick. I need to start writing these things down when I have these great ideas. Awesome, Blue Jay. Thank you. And thank you for making the effort of signing in and hitting the like button and subscribing. Because for a person like me, I completely understand being overwhelmed sometimes with technology and stuff. And sometimes I'll be like, I can't do it. I just can't do it. Maybe next time. And shout out to all of you who came back after the sound started acting funny. 2, 3, 4. But yeah, I think we're gonna be good. Y'all think y'all will be able to have the head and body, recap and ears all done by Sunday? I think y'all will be ready to make the limbs by Sunday. I'm hoping I'll be ready. I think I should be ready based on what's on my agenda for this weekend. I should be ready, right? And I'm gonna tell you this, as a delinquent, as head delinquent, I am going to stress the importance of trying to keep up. Meaning, and when I say trying to keep up, I mean trying to finish the pieces within the time frame allotted, because it's a lot of color changing, and color changing can be very discouraging. That's all I'm saying. Like, the color changing can kind of discourage you. So you don't want to fall behind too much, because if you're like me, you fall behind too much, you say, okay, I'm just going to do the next thing. And then before you know it, you got a lot of body parts and pieces just laying around chilling for no reason, just because you wanted to do the next thing and you didn't finish the first thing. And it's a very bad habit to have. I'm trying to kick it. So, I'm just saying. So I am on, what row would this be? 27 for y'all who was just, who wasn't trying to be extra. Crocheting with you all live is making me fast. Awesome. See, that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that we can all kind of be on the same kind of track. Not necessarily on the same rows, but we're all doing the same thing. That's what makes, to me, a crochet together different from a crochet along. Because crochet along just says, okay, by this date, we're going to be doing these parts. By that date, we're going to have these parts. And it's more like, if you do it, you do it. If you don't, you don't. I just got to row 21, but I'm having fun. Awesome. See? It's working. Crochet together is more of us like, yeah, we working on it together at the same time. And it doesn't matter your speed, because this is still a leisure art. So you still want to take your time. 3. 2. Yeah. So funny. Now, having added those rows, I'm like, this is hilarious, because it made a difference. It made a noticeable difference. And I'm like, the funny thing is, if I go through patterns that I've created in the past, I should have known for the width of this head that the length should have been longer, because there are designs that I have that are smaller in width that are the same as that length. And I don't like that. So this is what makes you being here and participating this way in the Crochet Together beneficial to you, because you get to see that while this does work out fine, right? The modification that I'm making, and those of you who are participating in the modification, again, this is a simple modification. It's not going to change or hurt anything. It's not going to mess up your yarn amount. It's not going to do any of those things. It's literally just going to give you a little bit more surface space between the nose, after the nose or the eyes, for you to comfortably sit your lips or your mouth. That's all. I just need a little bit more than what the original design has. And I remember funny thinking about it, because that was my gripe with the design when I first did it. So yeah, we're good. So participating in this manner, you get these little extra tidbits. You get these little extra components. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And like I said, whatever modifications I make, I'm going to implement them, and I'll send you out the modified version once we're all done, because even though I don't think there are other things that I'm going to be like changing, and I never think that I'm going to change or do something different, and then I do. But the bottom line is, whatever changes are made, I will absolutely, absolutely provide you with the finalized version, so that you have access and you get to pick. You don't necessarily have to do the modification if you don't want to. The other thing about this design, like I said before, one of the reasons why this design and the participation of this particular thing cost what it costs is because the base design for this doll, all of those accessories are removable. The design alone by itself is a really great body style. And if you're creative, and if you've taken some My Kind of Thing University courses, then maybe you want to give her a different outfit. Maybe you want to design her a different outfit. Maybe you want to design her different shoes. That kind of stuff. You can absolutely do that. If you want to give her a different hairstyle, that is also a really great option. If you've taken any of the My Kind of Thing University hair courses, that's definitely a thing that you can do. You can apply different hairstyles, and yeah, that's better. That's better. That's how we do. That is how we do. We see something, we say something. I'm gonna get her neck done, and then we're gonna end at the neck, but off camera, on your own time, with your own leisure, sort of. You can finish the neck and body, and then move on to the arms and legs. If you are an overachiever, and you want to be like, you want to move ahead, you can absolutely do that. If you are someone like me who gets excited and just goes until, you run out of steam, or it gets late, or the sun comes up, or whatever, you can do all of those things. Keep in mind, crochet is a leisure art. Even though we're crocheting together, even though I'm saying don't fall behind too far, because then you might lose your excitement or your motivation, it's still a leisure art. These live videos I record in this way, in this manner, specifically for you to just follow along and crochet whenever you're ready. So even if you're not watching the whole live, or if you're watching on a replay, you have access to do so. I wish Facebook wasn't being jerks about all of the live videos that I have compiled over the years, because yeah, that's a whole nother dilemma. But I basically explained that I'll just have to redo them in a different space, and I think that's going to be Patreon. But a lot of those videos that I've created have been, it's Hair 103, Sister Nasira, Hair 103. Did you purchase it, or are you looking to purchase it? It's in the same category as braids and coils. But yeah, we're gonna have to move over to a space where the live videos can stay, and there's no expiration date on the live videos. I think that it's a sign that maybe Facebook is probably running out of storage space in their service or something, maybe. Because why are they giving an expiration date for live videos? I don't know. But it is one of the oldest social media platforms currently, right? So maybe, I don't know, but I don't like it. Sometimes things be too good to be true. We thought we was killing it, basically making it so that you have unlimited access to this content and information. Well, unlimited until Facebook said, oh, you gotta get it before we delete it. Like, okay, killing me. But like I said, what I'm gonna wind up having to do is just redoing them in a different space on a different platform so that you continue to have access to it. One, two, and it's so funny. I realized with the 5 times table, you gotta extend the length because I was even thinking of who was the design that I was like, his head is short. Purchased the cornrows and the ponytails course recently, or because the braids and coils, that's where the locks are in the braids and coils. So if you purchase those two, the locks or braids and coils courses in the same space, or as far as the links to purchase. Two, three. But yeah, who was it? It wasn't Frank. It was Boney Tony. Boney Tony. I was like, yeah, it's kind of short. Boney Tony. But also Boney Tony was created with skin tones as far as his face is concerned. So that just made it seem even shorter. And so, yeah. When I go back to do a third Boney Tony, if I ever do, let me not say if I ever. There's some designs. My boy Boney. I told you he's based on my little brother. Boney Tony has a short head, and I remember finishing him and being like, your head needs to be longer. I feel like he was the 9 times table, but he was 9 times 5. That's why it kind of got a little short. Something about the 5 times tables, I have to really pay attention to length. And I don't know why. Could just be me. I don't think it's a mathematical anomaly. I think it's just me. He seems like such a big head. I can't find the page anymore. If you are in the My Kind of String Yarn Facebook group, use the search bar. There's a search bar that every group has, and what you can do is you can type in cornrows or hairstyles or any of those things, and any post that has that information will come up. The search bar, that's what the search bars are for. When you're looking for something specifically, especially in the Facebook groups, that should come up. Definitely should come up. And you'll be able to click what you need. But all the posts that have been posted about the hair courses and stuff should come up. And if you are subscribed to My Kind of Thing website, mykindofthing.com, then you definitely should be able to access or see emails that are advertising the hair sales, right? Let's see. I am now working on the neck. Technically, according to this pattern, 29 and 30. But if you modified it, it's probably like 34, 35 or something like that. I don't know, because I gotta go in there and fix that. But this the head I want. This the head I need. It's very big. And trust me, it doesn't mess with the size of the visor, because the width is still the same. It's just the length that I extended. So the only thing you'll have to adjust for this would be the wig cap length. And again, this is a lesson in designing impromptu, right? One of the things that I love about how I design and how I teach is that you can follow the pattern the way I wrote it, and you'll get the doll in the picture, right? But you don't have to follow it to a T. If you think you'd like something better if something was longer or shorter or thinner or thicker, I want you to feel confident enough to, play with the stitches. Add some rows if you want the length to be longer. Add some increased rows if you need the width to be wider, or take some off if you need it to be thinner or smaller, And then you really want to get crazy. Change the hook size. Go up a hook size or go down a hook size if you need to do something different. All of those are ways in which to play with the size of your finished product. And I am on what I'm going to call the last row for our YouTube live crochet together part 1. Maybe having a good time. And I'm going to do a better job. Try to do a better job of having really cool fun stuff to talk about while we crochet. Like the things that you all are enthusiastic about in the realm of crochet, and maybe the things that I love in the realm of crochet. Because, I used to make accessories and stuff. I landed on dolls because we needed them, I thought, or I feel. And that's where I stayed. But I used to love making accessories. My favorite was hats. And when I say hats, and everybody for some reason now when you think about hats, some darn ruffled crochet hats, I don't like them. And the amount of dislike I have for them, I feel guilty about how much I dislike them. The reason why is because so many people do like them. And I feel bad that I can't like them. The more I see them, the less I like them. And I feel like they have become synonymous with crochet hat. When you think crochet hat, when people think crochet hat, they think those hats. And I'm like, oh, I hate those hats. I'm sorry if you love those hats, and if you like those hats, and if you like making those hats, I'm sorry. I can't even try to like them. I just find them to be an extremely annoying waste of really cool yarn. And I'm going to stop right there. We got the head and neck. Because I know that it's probably slander to some of you because the way that they've been dominating the crochet hat visuals says to me that a lot of people like them, and I can't. I don't. So let me show y'all the difference. See that? Yeah. It looks significantly different. Now here's what I will say, right? My tension is different, and occasionally even when working with the same yarn, there are slight differences in how it works out, whatever. Awesome. Yeah, so this is a longer head. And it's just what it is. We like it. I like it. And so you all have been wonderful. Thank you for participating. Yeah, it looks, I promise you, don't worry about how massively bigger it looks. The fudge drizzle, sometimes I think fudge drizzle works up a little bit bigger than brown sugar. I don't know. Sometimes the dyes do affect it a little bit. This has been fun. Good night, Felicia. But thank y'all so much for participating. Thank you so much. Will I see you all back here on Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the limbs portion of our crochet together. Is that what we're going to be doing? I should hope so, and we'll be ready, right? Thank you all again so much for participating, for joining. If you are watching on a replay, thank you. Thank you all for rejoining because of the horrible sound at 2 p.m. All right. I'm going to see you all there. Hopefully we're not going to be delinquent and we're going to be prepared. But if we're not, it's okay. It's a leisure art. This has been wonderful. And if you have not purchased the pattern, all of the information to do so is in the description. If you need a companion pack to make sure you can have all the colors that the pattern calls for, it's in the description. Thank you all again, and I will see you all on Sunday for part 2. Y'all have a good night.